Let's look at directed numbers. So, introduction to directed numbers. Directed numbers are made up of positive numbers and negative numbers. So, positive numbers are numbers that have plus sign attached to them. So, positive numbers have plus sign attached to them, such as plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, etc. Then we can also write positive numbers without attaching the plus sign. We can write positive numbers as 1, 2, 3, 4, and many more. So there are two ways of writing positive numbers: writing them with the plus sign or writing them without the plus sign. So whether you write it with a plus sign or you write it without any sign at all, they are all positive numbers. The negative numbers are numbers with negative sign, with minus sign attached to them, such as minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. So in directed numbers, we are dealing with positive numbers and negative numbers. Looking at addition rule of directed numbers. The addition rule of directed numbers, one thing we must have in our mind is the rule, the addition rule of directed numbers stipulates that if the two numbers have the same sign, then we have to add. If the two numbers we are working with have the same sign, then we can add. So that's the addition rule. Look at number 1. In number 1, you can see that we have minus 3, minus 8. 3 has a sign, a negative sign. 8 has a negative sign. So both 3 and 8 have the sign minus. They have the minus sign. So since 3 and 8 are carrying the same sign, this is minus, this is minus, so we are free to add them together. So it qualifies as the addition rule. It passes the test of addition rule. So we are free to add 3 plus 8. So 3 plus 8 equals to 11. Then we can choose any of these signs. You can choose any one. We can just take this one, minus. So once you add, you select any of the signs. The reason is because the two signs are the same thing. So any of the signs you choose will be correct in your answer. So minus 3, minus 8, the signs are the same. 3 has minus, 8 has minus. Then we have to add the two of them to get 11, and then we choose any of the signs and attach it to our answer. So look at number 2. Number 2 looks like number 1 too, because both numbers have the same sign. We have minus 5, minus 2. Minus 5, minus 2. 5 is carrying a minus sign, 2 is carrying a minus sign. So this implies that both numbers have the same sign, and therefore we are free to add them together. So we can choose any of the signs. Anyone can work since they are the same. Just put a minus here. 5 plus 2, 7. And therefore, minus 5 minus 2 is equal to minus 7. Then number 3. We have plus 4 plus 8. Now, 4 has a plus sign. 8 has a plus sign too. Both numbers there have the same sign. So since 4 is carrying a plus and 8 is carrying a plus, they are carrying the same sign, we are free to add them together. And therefore, we add them by saying 4 plus 8 is 12. And then we have to choose one of the signs. Since both signs are the same thing, we can choose any one. We can choose this. This is plus 12. Plus 12. Then, don't forget, we can write a positive number with plus or without plus. So if our answer is going to be plus 12, even if you write the answer without the sign plus, it is still correct. If we decide to write the 12 alone without any sign, we can accept it as plus 12. So meaning that a positive number can be written with a plus sign or without the plus sign. But in this example, I just decided to add the plus there so you can see it. But anytime you want to write a positive number, you can equally write it without any sign at all. Then number 4, plus 6 plus 3. Plus 6 is carrying a plus sign, 3 is also carrying a plus sign. Both numbers are carrying the same sign. Then, since the addition rule of directed numbers directs us to add two numbers that have the same sign. If the two numbers have the same sign, then we have to add. So since 6 is carrying a plus sign and 3 is carrying a plus sign, they are carrying the same type of sign. We can add 6 plus 3 together. So 6 plus 3 is 9. And then we can choose any of the signs since they are the same thing and put in our answer here. So our answer becomes plus 9. Then we can look at number 5. If you look at number 5, you see that we have minus 2, minus 3. That minus 2, minus 3, 2 has a negative sign, minus. 3 has a negative sign, minus. So both numbers have the same sign. We can add. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then we attach any of the signs in our answer. So minus 5. So minus 2 minus 3 is equal to minus 5. Then number 6, we have minus 3, minus 3. 3 here has a minus sign. The other 3 also has a minus sign. They have the same sign. We are free to add them together. 3 plus 3 is 6. And then we can choose any of the signs. Any one can work. Add it here. Our answer becomes minus 6. Then finally, in this addition rule, we see number 7. We have plus 2 plus 4. Look very well. Look at this very well. You can see that this 2 has nothing here. There's no sign here. Yes. This number has no sign here. But we said earlier that we can write numbers that are positive without the plus sign. So since there is no sign here, we know that it is a positive number. It has a plus. The plus is invisible. So positive numbers can be written with or without their plus sign. So this number, in as much as it has no sign attached to it, we know it's a plus. It's carrying a plus, but it's invisible. But a minus cannot be invisible. A minus sign will always appear. But a positive number may have a sign attached or not attached. So in this case, we have plus 2 plus 4. And 2 is carrying a plus, an invisible plus here, and 4 is carrying a visible plus. So plus, both of them are having a plus, both of them are carrying plus or are positive numbers. We are free to add them together. So 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. And therefore, we can choose any of the signs, the plus here or the plus here. Then, since positive numbers can be written without the plus sign, I may decide to write this as just 6 without attaching this sign to it. It will still be acceptable. Looking at subtraction rule of directed numbers. So let's see what the rule says. The subtraction rule of directed numbers states that if the two numbers have different signs, then we have to subtract. If the two numbers we are working with have different signs, we can subtract. Number 1, minus 8 plus 5. 8 has a minus sign, 5 has a plus sign. They do not have the same sign at all. So in this case, since 8 is carrying a minus and 5 is carrying a plus, they are not carrying the same type of sign. And in such a case, we have to subtract. But first, before we subtract, there is something we must do. We have to identify the bigger number. 8 and 5. 8 is bigger than 5. So this is the bigger number. So since this is the bigger number, we are going to select the sign of the bigger number and write it here. After having chosen the sign of the bigger number, we now use the bigger number and subtract the smaller number. 8 minus 5 is 3. So our answer becomes minus 3. So see number 2. In number 2, we have plus 4 minus 9. Plus 4 minus 9. 4 is carrying a plus while 9 is carrying a minus. They are carrying different signs. And so the first thing we do is to identify the bigger number. 4 and 9. 9 is bigger than 4. We have to select the bigger number and choose the sign of the bigger number and write it here. So use the bigger number, subtract the smaller number. 9 minus 4 is 5. Our answer is minus 5. Therefore, plus 4 minus 9 is equal to minus 5. Then in number 3, we have minus 3 plus 9. Minus 3 plus 9. In minus 3 plus 9, the 3 is carrying a minus sign, while the 9 is carrying a plus sign. And since their signs are not the same, they are carrying different signs. First thing we have to do is to select the bigger number. See the bigger number, 9 is bigger than 3. We select the bigger number, and then the sign of the bigger number is plus. We take that plus and attach it here. Then we now use that 9 to subtract 3. 9 minus 3 is 6. So our answer is plus 6. Then in number 4, we have minus 5 plus 1. 5 is carrying a minus sign, while 1 is carrying a plus sign. They are not carrying the same sign. They are carrying different signs. And since we are told that if the two numbers have different signs, then we have to subtract. So since 5 is carrying a minus sign and 1 is carrying a plus sign, they are carrying different signs. So we know we are going to subtract. But the first thing we have to do before subtracting is to find the bigger number. The bigger number here is 5. So we select the bigger number and choose the sign of the bigger number and attach it in our answer. Then use the 5 to subtract 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. So our answer becomes minus 4. Then in number 5, we have minus 3 plus 3. 3 has, the first 3 here is carrying a minus sign and the other 3 is carrying a plus sign. Whenever you have two numbers that are the same, like both of the numbers are all 3, and one has a minus sign and the other one has a plus sign, the answer will always be 0. Whenever you have two numbers that are the same thing, and one is carrying a minus sign and the other one is carrying a plus sign, and the two numbers are equal, then the answer will always be 0. Therefore, minus 3 plus 3 is equal to 0. So, when the numbers are carrying different signs and the two numbers are equal, this is 3 is equal to 3. They are the same. So the two numbers are the same, are equal in size, and they are carrying different signs. The answer will always give you 0. And in number 6, we also have the first 6 there is carrying a plus sign, the second 6 is carrying a negative sign or a minus sign. Since the two numbers are equal, but they are carrying different signs, the answer will always be 0. So that means that plus 10 minus 10 is 0. Minus 100 plus 100 is 0. Minus 20 plus 20 is 0. Plus 30 minus 30 is 0. Minus 50 plus 50 is 0. Plus 70 minus 70 is 0. Then number 7, minus 10 plus 2. You can see that 10 is carrying a minus sign while 2 is carrying a plus sign. They are carrying different signs, and because of that, we are going to subtract. The two numbers have different signs, and because of that, we are going to make use of the subtraction rule. The subtraction rule tells us that if the two numbers have different signs, then we can subtract. Therefore, minus 10 plus 2, we are subtracting. But first, we have to find out the bigger number. 10 and 2. 10 is bigger than 2. 10 is bigger. So the sign that is attached to the 10, the sign the 10 is carrying, we have to select it and put it down. And then 10 minus 2 is 8. So our answer is minus 8. So We have seen the addition rule of directed numbers. We have seen the subtraction rule of directed numbers. So whenever you have questions of this nature, all you just have to do is make use of the addition rule where necessary or where applicable, and make it or the subtraction rule where applicable, and you'll be able to get your answer correctly.